and welcome along and welcome back to my ongoing series on the Precision Farming DLC for Farming Simulator 19. Today we are going to be looking at soil types and soil sampling. We're going to look at the various soil types that we have in game, what effect they have on your yields and how best to get the best return from them, and then we're going to look into how you sample the soils to produce yourself a map of these so that you can get the best coverage from your fertilizing and your liming, two things of which we will be covering in the next video. However, first let's pop into the menu here, and under the precision farming tab on the second bit at the top, you can see here that we have the four soil types. So you have a loamy sand, sandy loam, loam, and silty clay. Now the order here isn't actually the order that they go from. So the least best or the worst one to plant your crops in is the loamy sand. This tends to have a negative effect on the crops you plant in it. Whereas, and the same is true for silty clay, which is the next worst, that also has a negative effect. Sandy loam has a slightly positive effect, and then the loam itself has a very positive effect on its on your yields, up to about I think it's like 125% increase in yield you can get from standard with a field that is full of loam. So it's a really good field if you can find one like that. And speaking of which, when you purchase your fields, so going back to the first tab, you now have information on what kind of soil you have in an area. So for example, if we have a look at the field area here with field 25, you can see that it's got no loamy sand in it. You've got a little bit of sandy loam. You've got a fair amount of loam, 41%, and then silty clay, you have 53%. Now, overall, you can see the effect that that 45% ish of the sandy loam and loam actually overrides the negatives from the silty clay. If we go and look at field 18 over here in the area around that, you can see it's a massively loam and sandy loam. Because it's 88%, the boost you're getting, the expected yield, is up by 121%. Let's see if we can find a fairly poor one around here somewhere. Let me see. There we go. Now, interestingly, the loamy sand, because that is the worst one on this area here, is causing a much bigger negative effect than the sandy loam or the loam. So you can see here which fields going around the map are the best ones for you to purchase. Here we can see the effect that loamy sand absolutely has on your yield. So you're looking at losing about 13% of your yield because that is such a loamy sand field. So the soil in your fields now affects what fields you should be looking for to buy, because it's a ratio of the cost of the field versus the potential crop and the potential boost to the yield or detriment to the yield that field is giving you. Of course, that's great, but we have no idea where these soil types are in our field. And the way to do that is to take soil samples. And you do this with the Isaria Scout, which you can buy in the shop, as we showed last time, under here in MISC. That's it here. 17,000. Nothing really to customize. Really nice model. If you want to check that out, more on that, check out yesterday's video where we had our first look at the Precision Farming DLC. And we got it hooked up to the little electric riggy track from the Alpine Farming DLC. That is because it will work on any 3-point link. You could even put it on the front of the tractor if you wanted. Works absolutely fine on any tractor that has that. I've seen some fairly mad setups in the last couple of days. So let's get this going. We're started up, and the way this works is you sample in a 25-meter radius. So unfold the scout. You can see the mini map to the bottom left. That has now zoomed in, and you've got a green circle as to the area that you will be sampling. Now, you can only sample land that you own. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up to cover as much of this field as I can. There we go. With our circle, we will do our sample. And you can see the circle is now flashing yellow to show it's doing the sample. And then once it's completed that, you can see that an area of our field has now turned red, or sort of a reddy brown. And if we look under the Precision Farming tab and zoom in, you can see that that is to indicate that the soil sample has been taken. And on field 20 here, that's a fairly large area of the field. We should be able to get 4 samples fairly quickly that cover the whole field. So again, I'm looking to cover as much as I can and take another sample. And now you've got 3 on the back of here. You've got 3 little boxes that it takes the samples in. That does not limit you the amount of samples that you can take. You can take as many as you want. I took 14 samples in one field the other day, or last night, and you'll see here when we take this sample, this actually overlaps with field 19, which we have crop in at the moment. It does not matter at what stage in the growth process that you take these soil samples. In fact, at one point last night, I was taking soil samples in the snow on seasons. So yeah, plenty of you can take them at any time, and it will help your growth of your field at any time, because it will start applying fertilizer and lime and recording your yields and everything at that point. So you can see here now we have all of field 20 covered. All the field 20 has been sampled. We got a little bit of field 19. So what we do here is we then send these soil samples for analysis. It costs £100, dollars or euros, whatever currency you're using. It costs 100 in order to do each sample. So this soil sample set is going to cost us 400. Soil samples are now sent to the laboratory for analysis. You will see the results on the soil type map soon. So it's not immediate. It does take a moment or two. But once it's done, you will see what we have. In the meantime, we're going to head over to the other side of field 19, because I want to show you something else. If you have, you can only take samples on your own land. And in fact, the results come back. You can see 400 pounds soil samples analyzed in the top left-hand corner. And we will go over how that looks in a moment. But if you are on your own field, so this is what I was saying, at any point you can take soil samples. We've actually got crop destruction on here, so it looks like we're doing the soil sample in harvested bit. But if I just reverse up a bit and actually take it in the crop there where I haven't destroyed any, you'll see we'll be able to take a soil sample here. But we're also overlapping field 18. So let's take this soil sample, and you'll see that you can take soil samples of land you don't own, so long as the land you're actually taking it on is your own land. I don't know if, one thing I do not know, and we will test this quickly, is if you can take soil samples on areas that aren't actually fields. So we're on the grass here. Let's see if this will sample here. Yeah, so basically you can sample anywhere on the map. It doesn't have to be defined as a field. It will only return results for areas that are defined as fields. But yeah, you can take soil samples absolutely anywhere. And it's worth taking that into consideration when you are doing your when you are taking your samples, because if you're trying to cover several fields at once, then that will reduce the costs for your samples if you can do the edges and cover a bit more of another field so that your price costs you less later. So let's fold this away, and interestingly, you can see the mini map has changed now. So while we had the scout out, it was a different type of mini map to what we have now. So now we've got the normal mini map. If I open it up, you can see here in the mini map, it has now, and it only does this on the mini map, it is now showing you the types of soils we have. So let's go and have a look at our soil map. So that is in this menu here, and you can see here we don't own field 18, but it has given the area that we've taken is within our 25-meter radius, and it is showing us the soil types that are in field 18, as well as the stuff we've taken on the edge of field 19. And here you can see the return for everything on field 20. And yeah, you can see here, field 20 has a massive streak of loamy sand through the middle of it. And the rest of it is just sandy loam. So I'm expecting this to have a negative result on the yield. So if we go over to here and press X and click on 20, look at that, a minus 88% effect on the yield on this section here, because field 20 has such a large area of loamy sand. And this area up here, this is the size of the field that you've got here. So what I can do is we'll head back, and I'm going to increase the size of this field quickly and show you what happens to that information when you do that. So we've now increased the size of field 20, this extra bit towards the main farm. And having done that, let's just stop our tractor here and jump out, and we can go and have a look in our map here. And you can see here under the precision farming screen that we have no extra information on that land at the bottom. That is because when we scanned this area, it wasn't actually showing. If we have a look in here, you can see that we have different setups here. So you can see the extra land there. You can see it's marked as ploughed. So it's not showing up on our precision farming yet. So what we want to do is jump into here, grab our little tractor, and try and get this area scanned as well. So we'll take some extra soil samples, try and get ourselves... Now this is where it's a little bit more difficult because we can't see anything on the map. We're not 100% sure, but that there should be a good area to sample. Now this will be the interesting bit, because when we take the sample here, you'll see that the area where we've previously sampled in the field, that will turn red because it's a new sample area that's been done. And this is because over time this data becomes out of date. So after, I think so my research so far hasn't actually turned up how many harvests it is, but as the information gets older, it goes darker and darker and darker until eventually it is just marked as out of date data. And that is more to do with what we'll be covering in the next video, which is the nitrogen levels and the pH levels, which you cover with lime and fertilizer. So there we go. We have 2 new areas that have been done. Let's send that off to the lab for sampling, like so. And then that will come back in a minute. So we'll just take this, fold it down, and get it out of the way again. And you'll now see that the new area we've ploughed, that will be included in here, and you can see now we have an extra area of sandy loam towards the bottom. And if we go back to the purchase screen and bring this up here, you can now see that actually it hasn't changed. So when you expand a field here, it doesn't actually give you any extra information on the farmable area. This covers the total area here. So if you have an area like this on your field, what you actually want to do is try and expand your field into an area that has extra of the crop you want. So what we've done here is actually, if we turn that top area to grass now, this field would start to produce a higher yield for the same area we started with. So there you go. That is how to make an area that you've got on your map a higher yield, because it has that. But that is the interesting thing to remember. This information here, this covers everything. It doesn't just cover the area of land that is farmable. Yeah, for a field like field 10 here, you have a sizable area here that is off to the side. It is very, very possible that you could have a huge streak, 57%. You could have a huge streak of loam, sandy loam through there like that, and all of your loamy soil be sort of this area here, with a majority of it in this grassy area here. So that is something else to take into account when you are doing that and when you're purchasing land. However, that pretty much covers the soil types and soil sampling for the Precision Farming DLC. We'll be back tomorrow with another video that will cover lime and fertilizer and how that can affect the yields of your crops and how to manage those as well. Please check back for that. If you missed yesterday's video, which was our first look at the DLC, go check that out as well. For now though, all that remains is for me to say thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like, drop us a comment and give it a share. And for all the latest videos from Virtual Farmer, please subscribe to the channel, ring that bell, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.